Hi everyone, welcome to Neely Chanuka Sparks. My name is Aliza Aberman. Because Shabbos Chanuka is quickly approaching, I wanted to share with you an idea that I heard from Rabbi Yamin Goldsmith that directly relates Parashat meekhates of this week to Chanuka itself. At the beginning of this week's Parsha, we hear about Paro having two very scary dreams for him. He has a dream, one about skinny cows and the other one about skinny stalks of wheat. In the morning he wakes up, he's very distraught, and he reaches out to his magicians and the wise people in Egypt, and unfortunately, in Posero San Paro, none of them are able to figure out his dream to help him be satisfied and feel settled after these seemingly nightmares that he had. What the Mefarshim ask is, why was no one able to figure this out? Skinny cows, very thin stalks of wheat. Was no one really able to figure out that a famine would be what comes after these dreams? Later, once Yosef is brought out of jail and explains the 7 years of famine and then gave the solution to how to resolve this famine that was going to happen, they all put him on a high pedestal. But they ask, what's the big deal? Isn't that logical approach? Isn't that the obvious way to resolve these dreams? The way that we can explain it has to do with what the Egyptians were like fundamentally. Egyptians believe that the way that it is the way that it will always be. It's a mindset of determinism. When things happen, they happen, and then there's no going back. They weren't wired to understand a famine. They never heard of such a thing. They lived on the Nile River, and the Nile River was constantly satiating their land. Why would there ever be a famine? And if there was a famine, why would anything change? There's nothing to do about that. That's what they believed. And then Yosef comes and says the exact opposite. Hashem created the world, he said, and he's explaining this concept and continues to create it every day. He refuses to accept any sort of credit for resolving these dreams from Paro and finding the solution to what's going to happen, because it wasn't him, it was Hashem. We have the power that we learn from Yosef here to change things in any direction based on our actions in our tefillot, personally or as a klal, based on our relationship with Hashem. Mitzrayim means bin hamitzarim, between the boundaries, no flexibility. But us Jews, we have the concept of min ha-mesar karasika. Whenever we feel constrained or we feel stuck or in a terrible place, we always call out to Hashem, and he responds more often than not in generous ways that we've seen in our Jewish history. When you look at the story of Chanuka, we see that there was no reason to believe that the Hashmonaim would be able to be successful in the war against the massive Greek army. And when the Mikdash was totally ransacked, there was no reason to believe that there would be any Kedusha found inside of it, let alone one little jar of oil that was pure. But we as Jews follow in the ways of Yosef. Min ha-mesar karasika anani b'merchavka. Whenever we are in the depths of our sorrows and our constricted states, we call out to Hashem and he answers us. And that's what we learn from Yosef, and that's what we can also learn that happens in the story of Chanuka. I hope you have a beautiful Shabbos and a beautiful rest of your Chanuka.